Hello and welcome to Warcraft Daily for today, the 1st of June 2013. In today's news, I'm going to cover the whole bunch of blue posts and tweets that have been put out over the last 24 to 48 hours. So to kick off the show, we have the blue posts, and the first one of those is about heroic scenario rewards. So they said that extreme bad luck is certainly a problem with players, and that it makes it feel especially unrewarding. Now, they've said that there's actually a whole bunch of measures they can put into place to protect players against extreme bad luck, and that at the minute they're monitoring the situation to see if they actually need to put these features into effect, which is quite interesting. I think one of the stem problems is, in a normal scenario, you nearly always get a piece of blue gear at the end, so people may have this expectation that they'll get a piece of gear at the end of a heroic one. I suppose it does make logical sense. The next thing we have is low-level dungeons, and there was a whole bunch of complaints that they were actually too easy. So Blue came and said that they couldn't make them harder because it would result in pretty much nobody doing them. Essentially, it would be slower than questing, it would be more effort, stuff like that, and it would also cause extremely long queue times to the people who do want to do them. So I think that's definitely fair enough, actually. And yeah, cool. So the next thing we have is blue tweets. There's been a whole bunch of these, and the first is about the group, the pre-made group requirement. Blizzard were doing a lot of sort of defending about this to people, and honestly I completely agree with Blizzard. The great thing about there being no queue is, one person said that there's a problem that you're always spamming trade chat. No, that's good. It means you're finding people in your server and you're doing content with them. It'll get to the stage where you know people's names. Hopefully, you make friends, have, stuff like that. At least a bit better than the way LFR does things. Hell, like, even doing one of the Pandaria world bosses is still like a pretty social event. Like, there's still lots of chatting and stuff going on in the raid chat. So I think it's good to force more sort of social interaction into the game. And that's what they're doing in this. People are just sort of entitled to that, they can hit a button and have it done easy for them. And I think that's a problem with the game. So the next thing we have is dungeons. They've said that dungeons actually take longer to design due to more complex boss mechanics, making lockouts work and loot balancing. That's in addition to the, earlier when they said that it was also new art, stuff like that. Essentially, a scenario's not got complex bosses, and the art and stuff, that's just a tile set. It's the same as it's just copying a part of the world, boxing it off, and shipping it out as a scenario. Whereas a dungeon requires a lot more design and work, and I do see that. So they said, that's what they said. Now, they did say earlier that they're perhaps getting to the stage where they could do 2 5-mans and a Throne of Thunder sized raid in one content patch, and I think that's very, very good. That's great news. So the next thing is that a whole bunch of people wanted to see LFR shifted into 5-man because, well, in a 5-man, there's 5 people there, there's more accountability, people are more forced into not being shit. Blizzard said that there would be sort of problems. They like LFR being an army of characters, and that having a major opponent killed off by a few players would be pretty odd. Back in Wrath of the Lich King, Nubarak was killed in a 5-man, and this kind of pissed people off, so eventually they put him into a raid, and I kind of do get where they're going from. If you don't know, Nubarak is a pretty important lore character from Warcraft 3, which is an excellent strategy game that you should all play. So the next thing is about LFR, and they say that it's more about displaying content and earning gear. It's not really being a catalyst to entice people into raiding more. And I think that's okay, because there's some people, the end game is LFR, and they shouldn't always be forced into raiding, because the sort of commitment and stuff that raiding requires to at least be partially successful it's a few nights a week, maybe 2 probably, because you probably won't have the same 10 people doing it every night. That would just burn out. So the next thing they say about LFR is that there's a risk of LFR overexposing players to the raid and thus burning them out. That's what a player said. Blizzard said that they actually agree that this is a risk. I totally understand. I mean, the times when I was doing LFR because it was the optimal thing to do to get gear for my raid team, it was just not fun. There were times I literally fell asleep. I remember Iron Quan. It's a very, very long boss fight if you have done it. And I literally fell asleep during Iron Quan. It was horrifically boring, and it did sort of burn me out of LFR. I haven't done one since, and I don't plan to. They also said that you shouldn't need to read up on LFR fights, though they do expect tanks to know what to do. Now, I think this is actually sort of partially utter bullshit. When you go into a fight, you're a part of a team. And if you're going to go in there blind, you're just an irresponsible, entitled little twat that wants people to do all the work for you. That is the bloody truth. It does my head in. Every time you go to Durmu, as an example, even, the last time I did LFR, so 2 weeks ago, you go into Durmu and there's still people saying, how do you do this? You know what? When you go into LFR, you know what content you're going to be facing. It's not like a random thing. You know what you'll be doing. It takes like 2-3 minutes to work out a basic strategy. Hell, my boss videos are 2 to 3 minutes long, and they cover exactly what you need to do to not screw over your team in LFR, and it really does my head in. And also the fact that they're expecting some sort of weird double standard from tanks. No, if you expect it from tanks, you expect it from everyone. And another issue is the in-game dungeon journal. Now, it's the sort of people who need to read up mechanics for boss and don't have, I suppose, the heavy air quotes intellect. It's more like in-game sort of knowledge, whatever, to work out fights on the fly. Those people are not the people who are going to look up the dungeon journal and see a list of abilities, and from that list of abilities reason what they need to do. That's dumb. So either you make dungeon journal for LFR like a little mini guide that at least leaves a little bit to be desired, so that there's still some new stuff for the player, but still anything to solve the problem. I think that if everybody had a readily available resource that they were willing to use for LFR, it would make it a smooth experience for everybody. So, hell yeah. And the next thing was them talking about raids, and they said that they acknowledge that there's a problem with the Dark Anubis trash, but the problem's not the trash's difficulty, it's more that it's not clear what to do. I think this is fair enough. The trash is annoying, but once we worked out how to do it, we haven't had a problem since. They also said that player participation is pretty much the same as it's always been, and that they don't think LFR has nabbed many core raiders. So that's it for today's Warcraft Daily. If you've made it this far, well done, because it wasn't a very interesting bout of news, really. I'm waiting with bated breath for 5.4, it's going to be great. I'm just thinking of all the boss guides and videos I can do and how that will help the channel grow. Hell yeah. So if you have liked the video, please click that like button, helps a lot. If you want to have a chat, the comment section's the place for that. And if you want to subscribe, I recommend doing that, and if you don't really know if you want to or not, then there is a welcome video on my main channel page, which you should, it's just me explaining what the crack is with the channel. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye.